Hi guys, so today's video is going to be another versus video, and it's a very shallow one because we're basically just going to talk about what covers we like better, US covers or UK covers. The way it's going to work is I will show you 5 different covers, both the US and the UK covers, and then I will have a poll pop up at the top of the screen and you guys get to vote on which one you like better. I'm also going to do a little bit of a mini, not a book review, but I am going to give a synopsis for each of the books that I show, so that way if you're interested in these books, you not only now have some additional information about them, but you also can see which cover option you like more in the event that you like to own your books. A little heads up, I am a huge Cosmere fan, and the Cosmere books do have quite a few different editions. So I'm going to be doing some Cosmere specific videos with the same kind of setup. So you won't be seeing any Cosmere books in this video, but look forward to seeing those later. On that note, I will actually start with a Sanderson book that is non-Cosmere, and that would be Skyward. Both are stunning. I do think that both of them do a fantastic job of showing you the science fiction feel that this book has, because it is a science fiction book. And I just think that they both kind of create and evoke images of space. Because sometimes the cover art in images looks a little bit different than it does in person, this is what they actually look like. Both are very crisp, both have the gold accents in the lettering, but for me personally, the UK cover wins. The setup for this story is that we follow our main character named Spencer, who has dreams of becoming a fighter pilot in a planet where they are constantly being attacked by aliens from the sky. So fighter pilots are the ultimate heroes in this story. They are also in high demand, but Spencer's father kind of famously abandoned the rest of his comrades in battle, and so now everybody just kind of brands her the daughter of a coward, and she has this dream that is already difficult enough, but she has even more challenges to face because she is constantly having to deal with the ramifications of what her father did. Because they happen to be right next to where I put Skyward on my bookshelf, the next books that we're going to vote on will be The Shades of Magic by V.E. Schwab. There's actually a lot of really cool editions of these books now, but I'm specifically looking at the original US covers and then, as far as I know, the original UK covers. Both, in my opinion, are stunning. And this one's actually really difficult for me to pick because they both have a lot of things that I personally really like in covers. I am definitely a sucker for white with pops of color, which is what the US ones have, but I really like how the other ones sort of have this imagery that you see in almost like the show Archer, if you guys have ever watched that show, but almost that sort of like James Bond mysterious look to them. And because the setting of the story isn't your typical fantasy setting, it kind of does have this cool suave feel to it. I kind of feel like they're both stunning. I don't even know if I can pick. I almost always lean liking UK covers more, so for the sake of mixing it up, I'm gonna go ahead and say the US covers. That's hard for me. They're both so beautiful. But the setup for this story is that we have a character who has the ability to go between multiple worlds, specifically different Londons. The worlds themselves are different, but for some reason, there is a London in each of these worlds, and they have different colors. So we have a red London, we have a white London, and so forth. And this character is kind of a rarity, and he is not supposed to take certain things from one world into the next, but he does, and this particular thing happens to result in a chain, this kind of series of events that are really intense, very high stakes, and it's a little bit of a slow beginning, but in the first book, once we hit this takeoff point, it really takes off and is basically nonstop until the end. Next up, we have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and this is actually super easy for me. The UK cover. Ugh, it is so gorgeous, and when I first picked this book up, I liked the UK cover so much more, but I figured, oh, I have a lot of other books, I'll get around to that book when I get around to it, and guess what? Apparently they don't print that one anymore, and now I don't have it, and I want it, which is, you know, sort of a very like first world problem of like, but I liked this edition of this book better. You can get this UK cover in the paperbacks, just as far as I know. the only hardbacks I can find now are people that are selling them for $200 or something, and I'm just like, come on, man, if you don't want it, be reasonable. But I just think that I'm not even normally a fan of really intense colors in covers unless they're done in a way that just captures my eye and draws me in, and the artwork itself on the cover is pretty. It kind of has to be this perfect storm, and when that perfect storm comes together, then I really like it, and that is the case with the Strange the Dreamer UK cover. It's so pretty. Ugh. The setup for Strange the Dreamer is that we follow a young man named Laszlo Strange, who is about as sweet of a cinnamon roll as you can get in a story. He's like the ultimate crush, I feel like, for every bookworm, because he loves books, and he's so sweet, and he's so empathetic, and he's just such a sweet little, you just want to eat him up. He's so nice, and he has this fascination with this place that he could have sworn was real, but one day all of a sudden everybody was like, oh no, that was a mythological place, that place didn't exist, and he was like, I swear it existed though. And now he's done everything he can to research this place, and he is given the opportunity to perhaps find out if it truly does exist. And then from there, it gets very fairy tale-like and very magical. And the writing is very pretty, to the point where I'm not normally even a fan of super pretty writing, but in this book, I didn't mind, because I ended up by the end, I loved the themes and the duology. It did feel like a fairy tale, and yeah, Laszlo, he's just so sweet. Next up, we have Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and I feel bad, I don't like being shady, but I'm not a fan of the American covers for these. I'm surprised because even the new editions of these that are the special anniversary ones that were really expensive, just not really my taste. So, I mean, whichever. You can think of the fancy new editions, you can think of the normal typical edition, whichever you want, that or the UK ones, and in my opinion, the UK ones still win. The story follows a young man named Quoth, who in present day is much older, and he has this reputation. He's now in hiding, and he ends up telling his life story to a chronicler, and you kind of go back and forth between this present day and the past, and in the past is where the majority of the story takes place. You see Quoth growing up, and you kind of go with him up to his early teens. He goes to this kind of magical school, and it's a very atmospheric story. The writing itself is very stunning, very beautiful writing. For me personally, the let me tell you my life story setup isn't exactly my flavor very often for books, because for me, it just automatically, I don't feel that much for the character's sense of safety. I'm just like, oh yeah, well, we know they're gonna make it out all right. And in this story, it is so centered on our main character that I don't even have to worry about other characters, because it's basically all about Quoth. However, it is kind of the ultimate coming of age story, and the writing style makes it appeal to a lot of people regardless of whether they're fans of fantasy. So it's very well loved, and I'm actually really surprised for a book that's so well loved that the covers, I'm just not really a fan of any of them. The last one on this list would be Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, and this is a Japanese-inspired story. It is a bit of a traveling story that follows our main character Yumeko, who has a piece of an ancient magical scroll, and a essentially samurai ninja character who is looking for this particular scroll, and she has it. He doesn't know she has it, and he agrees to aid her in finding it. And so there's a lot of, oh my gosh, what happens if he finds out? Is he going to turn against her? What's going to happen? There's also a lot of really cool Japanese folklore in the story that I think the author has done such an amazing job with. But the covers. Okay, so the UK cover to me is stunning. It is so beautiful. I love it. I love the kind of painted brushstroke look of it. I think it's gorgeous, and I love the color combinations for all three of the books, first, second, and the third one, which is not out yet, but I saw the cover and I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. And then the American ones, not a fan. They look okay, I don't know how else to say this. They just look so American, and I don't know. It's such a cool. The author did such a great job, from what I can tell, of incorporating Japanese folklore, and I'm just like, can it not look like so like American. I'm definitely really curious your thoughts on it. Whenever I see people talk about it, pretty much never see people owning the UK editions, and it's pretty common on BookTube at least for people to be like, no, I like that cover, I'm gonna go get that cover instead. And I don't see that with Shadow the Fox, so maybe I'm the only person that likes the UK covers more, but man, I just think they're so pretty. All of the polls will have popped up on the screen, or they should have. If they didn't, you can hover over the screen and click on the little eye, and then you can vote on all of the polls there. I will post the results on my Instagram stories and on Twitter in 1 week, and I'll also put in a pinned post what the results end up being. For me, UK definitely wins when it comes to the covers, but I'm very curious to see if that is the case for all of you. I think there is a sense of the grass is greener on the other side for me because I am in the US, so maybe I'm just being petty and I'm like, oh, it's so much better over there. But I will say, when I've traveled to other countries, which has only been twice, but when I've going into their bookstores and seeing all the beautiful UK covers in person on the bookshelves, if you have suggestions for other US versus UK covers that you'd like me to do, or just foreign editions in general, let me know. I would love to do another culmination video like this one. I'm planning on doing maybe one of these for specific books and different foreign editions for that one book. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.